We have the roll call, please.
Smith.
Here.
Clute.
Here.
Bragg.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Mayor Robish.
Present. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 2, agenda approval. I would like to add tonight to the agenda 6.1, the downtown sign request, and 10.1, executive session 1-25-2, parent 3, under contractual matter. Is there anything else that I forgot to add?
Vote to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. Public forum is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on public forum? Seeing none, is there anything from the commission? We'll move on to consent agenda. Matters appearing on the consent agenda are expected to be non-controversial and will be acted upon by the commission at one time without discussion unless a member of the commission requests an opportunity to address any given item. Items removed from the consent agenda will be discussed at the beginning of the formal items. Tonight, our consent agenda consists of 4.1 minutes of June 16th, 2025, 4.2 fuel quotes for city departments, 4.3 personnel items. Number 1 is accept the voluntary resignation of 9/11 telecommunicator Jenna Waldner effective June 30th, 2025. Number 2, post and advertise for a 9/11 telecommunicator position in the Huron Police Department and the Dispatch Center. Number 3, acknowledge that Michael Schmieder's probationary employment as Park Maintenance 1 concluded on June 13th, 2025. Number 4, seasonal hiring for Parks and Recreation and Splash Central Water Park. 4.4, consider special on-sale alcoholic beverage license application from Rezone Pub and Grub for catering an event on September 20th at the campus center. And 4.5, payment of the bills.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Can I just note that it's a red zone and they're from Yale?
Oh, did I say something else?
No, not
Okay.
the blue zone.
Okay.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. Moving on to 5.1, bid quote items. 5.1, pay request number 1 for the 2024-3 3rd Street Bridge Rehabilitation and Preservation Project. We have with us tonight Assistant Engineer Dennis Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This is just a progress payment on the bridge at 3rd Street. We do have a big grant from the state on this, so that's 80-20 match or something. So this progress payment for $50,434.43. Recommend approval.
I would make a motion to approve. Second.
Any questions, comments? I see, Dennis, they had half of that done. Is that, it doesn't look like asphalt, is it? Or is
It's
it?
an epoxy coating.
It is,
Yep.
okay. Okay, did they get the other half done today or not?
I don't know if they did or not today, but they're also doing mud jacking because the walkway on the north side, it sank.
Oh,
So they're jacking that up and putting pilings in and stuff and
I see.
doing that as part of this project also.
As of 2 o'clock, it was not done.
Was not done, okay.
No.
I didn't get by there, so my fault, so,
Yep, sure, it's not done then if it wasn't done too.
okay. All right, we have okay, roll call vote.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. 5.2, pay request number 7 from Midland Contracting for bid 2024-11 for the 4th Street reconstruction in the amount of $706,000, $706 $5,453.65.
Yep.
Go
This
ahead,
is
Dennis.
progress payment on Fourth Street there. That's paved and just has some incidental work left to do. About 98% done now and recommend approval.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions?
It looks really good. I will say that.
It drives really good
It
too.
drives really good too, yeah.
Well, compared to what the shape it was in before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe there was another road there before, so.
The shape it was in, like the condition and the shape it was in.
And the
Yeah.
shape.
Both,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Roberts.
Aye. Moving on to 5.3, pay request number 13 from North Star Logistics LLC Century Crane for project 2023-21 Huron Transfer Station in the amount of $225,776.57 and authorize the mayor to sign. One more time, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you. Yes, progress payment on the transfer station. Working on some punch list items and minor things yet, but believe it or not, we will be done paying for this pretty soon. Recommend approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Clute.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Roberts.
Aye. Moving on to petitions and communications, downtown street sign request. I'm gonna turn this over to Barry Cranston. He's gonna fill us in a little bit.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll give you my best recap of what I know. In preparation of the upcoming July 3rd celebration for the downtown reopening, the dusting off, as they call it, they're trying to hustle up and get some new signs made that are similar in kind of pattern, and they have, that way it's kind of shows the camaraderie and everything for downtown, and so they're trying to hurry and get that done, and as part of that process, we normally do a sign permit for anyone accepting or applying for a sign, a new sign, and then as part of that process, I go out and I look at the site and all of those things. Well, we've had some input from people who are involved with that project, to include the two commissioners to my right, thank you. And it sounds like everything is in order, and so what they're requesting is that this body waive the fee for each one of those signs. To my knowledge, there are approximately 20 businesses that would typically have these signs. Normally, the cost of a sign is $35 per face. Now, it was my understanding, I have to back up, because it was my understanding these would all be wall-mounted signs, but it sounds like in discussions from just 5 minutes ago, that they are actually protruding somewhat from the front of the building, so they would be considered a double-face sign. So typically, that would mean that every sign would be $70. And so, just so that the commission understands that if you do approve this, there is a financial aspect that goes with this of about, based on the 20 signs, you're looking at in excess of $700, to grant the waiver, is what the opportunity cost for those signs would be for the permits, but. So that, this is in line with the Huron 2.0 objectives and some of those things, and Commissioner Clute and Commissioner Bragg can probably speak better to those activities that are going on behind the scenes with that group than I can, but I know that is the basics of what they are requesting. And requesting that any assistance would be appreciated. So with that in mind, if you want to add in there.
I just know they've been working tirelessly on this project. It's a group of volunteers who have really rallied all of the businesses to come forth and come together and get the painting done and the signage. I think Greater Huron has helped with some of that. Commissioner Bragg can address that, but it was a request that we just received today so they could move forward, so it would all be in place before the big event. They have volunteers to put the signage on the buildings, and there'll be construction people who have knowledge in that area.
Yeah, and I guess I would say, in general, I would have concerns about waiving something like this because of precedents. We don't wanna say, well, just because somebody's doing something good, we waive, this would be $1,540, cause I believe the count is 22
Oh, yeah.
signs, and if
Yeah,
you say they're
15.
double-sided. I guess the other side of it that I would factor in though is, if you recall, when Huron Rising 2.0 launched, that was Bill and we as a city did participate as a sponsor. So Huron Rising 2.0, all of the materials and everything that was presented with that was the Huron Community Foundation, the Greater Huron Development Corporation, and the City of Huron. And so I think that's where I think there is an avenue here to look at this without creating precedence issues, is that effectively this $1,540 would be the city's contribution towards that partnership, as again, we have said we would be a partner in that plan. Basically, the Development Corporation is paying the price for the signs. They also paid the full price for all the paint work, both labor and materials. And so then the property owners will have to pay to make the specific sign to their business. I believe the quote that they have in there is $180 per business from Creative Printing. I think is gonna knock those out here in a hurry. But so I think that would be, I would have some strong concerns about making a waiver like this just because it's a community group or just because they're doing a good thing. But I think that the reason that we felt comfortable bringing this forward when Heather brought it to us was that we have, as the city, agreed to be one of the sponsors of that Huron Rising 2.0, and I think this is a fair contribution for us to make towards this project.
I'd like to add too that out of the Huron Rising 2.0 downtown development was one of the 7 priorities that the community addressed in those vision sessions. And the chamber is also a partner
Yes,
in that.
sorry.
No, just want to give everybody,
Right.
How big are the signs?
So
Any
if
idea?
you've been in the alley behind Pop Ice Cream, there's a circular sign that protrudes out the back over their door. I wanna say, guessing, the circle is probably this big, it comes out off, it would be similar to that. So the initial idea behind this, and again, in addition to the painting, to kind of spruce things up, as Barry said, create some uniformity, much like several years back, we had the City of Huron was a part with and the chamber of that awning program where they ordered awnings at the same time to create some uniformity throughout. This was kind of a similar idea, that even though they're not all gonna be the exact same shape and size, they will be unique to each business. There will be a uniformity, which coupled with the streetscape that the city is contributing, the painting, that will be highlight the look, and so it'll be easier to see as you're driving down, Brian, so that, a lot of these businesses already have signage on the front, but the thought here is that as you're zipping through downtown, those signs coming out will be easier and more eye-catching to draw some more attention to those businesses. And the concept, again, with Creative doing that graphic, is that if a business changes, if a new tenant moves in, the sign would stay attached to the building, and the new tenant would just have to create a new vinyl graphic for it. But in theory, as long as these signs would last, we would have the benefit of that for that downtown corridor.
So is it gonna be perpendicular to the face of the building, is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, they protrude out away from the face of the building.
It's about 2 feet, approximately 2 feet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's 2.5 feet. It's like 20 inches or something, or 26 inches, whatever that sign is about there. It's about 2.5 feet, I think. So,
And I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this, but, so the waiver for the permit is one thing, does that put them over their allowance for signage?
that's
amount?
was my original concern, is that because some of these businesses, for example, the Center Plaza, they have wall signage on the outside that are basically 4x8 on all of their signs. Now, it's my understanding, pardon me, I gotta sneeze. Anyway, it's my understanding, excuse me. It's my understanding that some of those will be coming down, and then these would replace them, and so there would be a net gain in available footage. So it would actually help the situation. The issue I have is that aggregate square footage for each business. Each one of them is based on the front footage of his business and whether or not they're on a side street, and so almost every address has to be looked at from that standpoint. And we just haven't had enough time to do that with this project coming in today.
Like the River's Edge building?
Right, so that becomes the challenge. Now, as far as the waiver of the fee goes, that is something completely separate,
Right,
but.
I guess that's where I was going, the two
Right.
of those that would exceed their allotted amount, would that,
We could
require
maybe
notation
work with
or
them to
what?
find a way to adjust their signage, whether that is, well, if you take this one down and put this one up, then you're okay, kind of thing, because the signs will be physically smaller than that 4x8
yeah,
in many cases, which are on those buildings.
or is that? I guess, would that be reasonable to assume that there'd be a request to waive that requirement or that restriction on these properties?
I would require a variance.
Yes, that would, that's correct, Commissioner Bragg, that it requires a variance if you go over and above those, and so now you create a whole new issue with going beyond the limitations of just making a blanket forgiveness like this, what we're talking about.
Yeah, I understand it's two different things that
So,
we're discussing.
so if there are those situations, I would try to work with the business, but I would strongly urge that we not go too far down that road.
And I think part of what they were looking for, there may be some that have to address that. A lot, it's not an issue. And
No.
they've got some.
That's correct.
The signs are here and are being printed, and they've got some volunteer groups that are willing to put some up. So I think if we address the fee part of it, that would at least allow them to start putting some of the signs up, and then maybe some of the properties
And
where it could be a stickier wicket, we can give Barry some more time to work through
Right.
those.
And I think Heather was going to work with you on those in question after they got the ones
Right.
that weren't in
Once we
question.
figure out what each one of them has to work with.
Yeah,
If I may, has this been approved by DOT?
yes.
Okay,
They have talked to Brad about it.
okay, because it overhangs DOT right
Yep.
away, and I just want to make
That
sure.
was one of my first questions. too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, in an effort, once the barriers, a lot of the barriers have been removed from downtown and people have free access through Dakota Avenue, you can see the vision that was presented to our commission 6 years ago, 7 years ago, somewhere in there. And if you get the opportunity, it's just a huge facelift. And I want to thank the partners that have been involved in that process, too numerous to mention, but it's just really it's just a huge facelift, and I talked to Commissioner Bragg about it earlier last week, going the extra step of helping businesses with their facades and their painting upgrades, and it's really a true effort of trying to bring that Main Street to a more
Alive.
up to date. Yeah, I mean, there's just a really deserved, neat energy downtown right now with this project, and so I would be in favor of approving the request of waiving the permitting fee in an effort to keep that going in the right direction.
I'll second that.
Anybody else got any comments or anything? I guess I haven't said anything, but I do have a little bit of concern on that $1,500 is not gonna make or break us. It's not gonna make or break us. But it may be a very significant amount when it comes to the South Huron. I know right now we are concentrating on downtown Huron, but Huron Rising 2.0, I don't know if we even said anything about South Huron. That's a bad deal, because they're gonna feel the effects of this just like the downtown did in a year or two, or whatever. And so, as much as we've stepped up downtown, and I have no problem stepping in and helping, there's a lot more businesses down south than there is downtown. And so, but setting a precedence, I don't know if we're setting a precedence, but we are.
I'll make a comment to that quick, Mayor, because it has come up a little bit on the, from 7th to 9th. Some of those homeowners and some folks have mentioned that, and I think the response we had again, going back to the Huron Rising 2.0 discussion of the downtown specifically being one of the 7 features. Downtown is one of the 3 main features for the Development Corporation. And then from the city standpoint, the additional dollars we invested in the streetscape. I think that has been the piece, is that, the city of Huron has already invested so much money in upgrading to do the planters and to do the streetlights and to do the benches. And so this really is just an extension of that, which is not to say that the other businesses down south are not important.
Right.
But the investment that the city has made in the streetscape was the reasoning behind why some of these businesses got a little extra attention, because there was already the investment being made in the streetscape, and so those areas within those blocks impacted by that also got the extra help. So that's not to say that takes away from the idea that there's gonna be folks that, I got a business down south, I'd love to know stuff too, but I think the understanding had been, that facelift and the multi-million-dollar investment specifically in that downtown streetscape was what set this area apart from any of the other stretches along the road.
We also had so many abandoned buildings in downtown that are now being purchased and revitalized, and down in your neck of the woods, I don't think there's too many abandoned spaces.
That was gonna be my second part of my comment, because we let it get so far, and I shouldn't say we, whatever, the building owners or whoever that is or whatever, now some are new, but it got pushed off so long, and now the south town is a newer, but it hasn't been refaced since it's been built. But now it's going to get refaced, and that, we're just a thought, just
I agree with
try and
what you're
remember.
saying, Mark. I think if we're going to do this for downtown, we had better consider it if somebody comes to us and asks for the rest of town.
Well, we won't be able to not
Well,
consider it.
exactly, exactly. I guess my question is so we got this note from Heather Burns. Is her group paying for all of these, or is this up to the individual businesses to come up with $70?
So that, I mean, I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question.
I think she addressed that in a text to me stating that even if a portion of it could be covered or waived, they would work out something to get the remainder if we went that path.
I guess, this is the way I run my checkbook. I have to have some time, or else my answer is no, because like I said, $1,800 is not gonna make or break us. It's not gonna make or break any of us. It's $70 is not gonna make or break that business, I hope.
Well, that's my thought.
Yeah,
You know, if each business is the one coming up with the $70,
yeah,
it's really not much.
yeah, it, I, just throwing my words out there, I guess, my thoughts out there. Anybody else? We have a motion and a second, so roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Clue.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Nay.
Robish.
Nay. Motion carries. So, thank you very much. Moving on to departmental items, 8.1, city offices will be closed on Friday, for the 4th of July holiday, and 8.2, solid waste for the 4th of July holiday hours. I'll turn over to Commissioner Clute.
Okay, I do have two messages from Superintendent Fortin, and I'll read the first one. Beginning Monday, June 30th, the solid waste department will be starting its routes at 6 a.m. This earlier start time is necessary due to the summer heat, which is making it difficult for trucks to stay cool and operate efficiently during the hottest part of the day. We kindly ask all residents to please have their containers out early or set them out the night before to ensure timely pickup. Additionally, for residents on the Friday route, please take note of a schedule change due to the 4th of July. Since the holiday falls on a Friday this year, collection for Friday's route will instead be done on Wednesday, July 2nd. Finally, the solid waste department will be closed on Saturday, July 5th, allowing employees to enjoy a long holiday weekend. And just as a reminder, whenever a holiday, whatever day of the week it falls on, for example, last week, Juneteenth, we had some calls. So that was a Thursday pickup people, their pickup day is Wednesday. So whatever day, next week when it's Friday, Wednesday is always the alternate pickup day. And we're sending out some chamber blasts and trying to get the word out. Ben's going to do some columns for us on that too, so.
Yeah,
But they
there were-
always come back and pick them up.
There were some calls on there.
Yes.
On that, so thank you for that reminder. All right, having completed our business, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second?